Equally absurd. Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, and today I'm going to chat with you guys and gals a little bit about this today. And again, I'm coming from just a place of common sense, understanding the human body, understanding nutrition, and understanding what the healthiest, fittest people on earth, what the best athletes have always done. And when you really look at both of these ideas objectively, they both need to be rejected outright. In terms of being what's optimal for health and fitness and athleticism. I'm not saying there can't be ethical considerations for people, but when your considerations extend beyond ethics, right, anything beyond your morality, and they come over into the other areas, these diets are both problematic. They are suboptimal, in many, many ways. All right. And we need to be aware of that. We have to quit pushing these.
By the way, Jason Blaha still has not been able to bench 405 pounds after years of training. It's got to be decades by now. Taking all the steroids he's wanted, and supposedly following the most ideal human diet. You know who has benched over 405 pounds? Me, after being vegan for 14 years. So
ideologies like this into health and fitness. And again, let me be clear, I'm not saying we can't follow a variety of macronutrients, okay? I'm not saying people cannot thrive on very low carbohydrate diets. I'm saying they cannot thrive without plants and vegetables. Okay, that's the problem with the carnivore side. And the other side equally with the veganism. Again, there are things that we benefit from, that we not only health-wise benefit from the animal stuff. Some of it gives you such an enormous advantage, especially when it comes to things like body composition, that it absolutely matters. And it matters.
Yes, you may not like it, but this is what peak male performance looks like. How could he ever achieve this amazing physique without eating meat? I just don't know how it would be possible. These amazing, huge biceps that Blaha has, there's no way I could ever get arms like those on a vegan diet.
Because the bulk of the data shows us that gaining muscle and maximizing muscle mass and minimizing body fat absolutely improves health in and of itself, right? There are health benefits to gaining muscle. There are health benefits to gaining muscle, and it's relatively open-ended.
Yeah, Blaha said he was on a plant-based diet, and he was clearly lying about it. He just lies constantly. I don't know why. He's just a pathological liar. He just does it. I know he was, like, a while ago, he said he was eating, like, meat and stuff for some of his meals on a live stream, so it's just another thing he lied about.
So let's discuss both of those, because obviously the vegan one feels like in some ways it's less obvious. Like you can't even be drawn towards the carnivore diet unless you're essentially insane. Right, it is not a diet for anyone remotely sane, logical, rational. It is itself a mental illness. Let's talk about the vegan one, because at least we can make an appeal to ethics. Right, we can make an appeal to ethics with it. And again, I can appreciate that. I can disagree with those ethics, but I can at least respect the fact. Right, we can respect that fact. Okay. That if it for them is about animal rights and animal welfare, whether it's correct or not, it's irrelevant. It's still well-meaning, and it's intended to be ethical and moral. All right. I can't hate that part of it, and I can say, hey, they have a right to that. A person has a right to their personal ethics. Absolutely. So the problem is again, the body composition and nutritional deficiencies. It's essentially a diet that without supplementation is not going to work. It is not going to work. It is nearly impossible to have perfect health on a vegan diet without supplementation, because
I mean, that would be the case for any diet. I don't know what delusional fucking world this guy lives in, but most people are not eating a absolutely perfect diet where they meet every single macronutrient exactly. They're not low in any particular nutrient. Every single day they eat the exact same thing in a perfectly balanced manner. And again, there's so much research on like weird ancillary things like with like creatine. There's no way to get adequate amounts of creatine in your diet to get benefits with muscle growth, cognitive function just from getting it from diet. So there's an example where even if you're on a fucking carnivore diet, eating nothing but raw meat, chances are you're not going to be able to get enough creatine to actually maximize your creatine reserves to get those benefits. Like, everyone benefits from some level of supplementation.
Is deficient in too many things. Now their argument would be, yeah, but we can supplement those things. True, but then we're over to your diet's not really optimal without adding a bunch of synthetic supplements back in, right? Not even talking about just protein.
By the way, this is the same guy who's used anabolic androgenic steroids for years. So he's willing to inject steroids into his ass, but he makes a big deal about taking a supplement.
At this point. So we're talking about things like B12, okay? We're talking about various fatty acids, right? Even getting appropriate amounts of omega-3s. It's actually difficult. Not saying impossible, but it's difficult. But you definitely are going to start running into a variety of nutritional deficiencies if you're not extremely careful.
By the way, this is the guy who recommends taking omega-3 fish oil supplements. Oh, but supplements are bad. If you have to take a supplement, then your diet's deficient. In order to get the recommended daily intake of omega-3s, you'd have to eat like 2 large salmon fillets a day. No one's going to do that. So again, there's an example of you pretty much need to take a supplement unless you're just making weird dietary choices that are remarkably inconvenient.
With supplementation, with food choices, it creates a lot of extra work. And that alone, given the difficulty of pursuing a healthy diet and body composition today, is already hard enough without adding that extreme complexity. Okay?
Again, this is the guy who has no problem injecting steroids into his ass, but taking a dietary supplement is just too much work.
Furthermore, when it becomes an ideology instead of saying and addressing that, and many are not willing to do that, this is a problem. Okay, when it becomes the foods are bad because they're animal products, well, that's not true. There are plenty of absurdly healthy foods that are animal products that are linked to all sorts of health benefits.
That is really not true.
Okay, and positive health outcomes. So this idea that all disease is coming from animal products is absolutely ludicrous, especially when given that refined sugars play such an enormous and massive role in poor health, documented in the literature. They'll talk about also cardiovascular risk, yet, coconut oil will still be consumed. Coconut oil is absolutely linked to elevated LDLs, elevated to all sorts of problems. They're animal.
Yeah, and if you eat animal foods, that raises your LDL, either directly or indirectly. So directly, you might be eating animal foods that contain saturated fat and cholesterol, which raise your LDL, and indirectly because animal foods don't contain any fiber. So if you swap out steak, for instance, with tofu, not only does tofu have less saturated fat, no cholesterol, but it also contains fiber. If you swap out like any animal food for a plant food, chances are the plant food is going to actually contain fiber. So even if like the saturated fat content is the same, well, the plant food contains fiber, which lowers cholesterol.
Saturated fats in some forms that don't even produce that, like milk, right? Butter does, but
Milk has saturated fat.
whole milk, for example, is completely neutral in terms of that.
That's not true. Whole milk has saturated fat.
But a bunch of vegan products are not.
This guy's going on a rant about nutrition, and he doesn't even know, like, he can't even read a nutrition label.
Coconut oil, even refined sugars impact your whole lipid profile. Okay, this stuff is garbage. These are enormous contributors.
Refined sugars do not increase your cholesterol in your blood. They might increase triglycerides, but they do not increase cholesterol.
Contributors. Heavily refined vegetable oils. These are all vegan. These are all plant-based.
Refined vegetable oils are not bad for you.
They are enormous contributors to poor health. And at least
No, refined vegetable oils do not contribute to poor health.
the carnivore people get that part right, while not admitting they probably shouldn't be eating the refined animal products they eat, like tons of bacon and butter, which we know are also linked to terrible health and blood work and health outcomes. Because again, people are getting caught up in...
Okay, well, that's Blaha. He likes to ramble.